let's get to Saagar's part in this whole saga. Go ahead and throw this element up there on the screen. So, as I was just saying, these executives really deserve a lot of scrutiny. And so Saagar, on Twitter, provided a little bit of that scrutiny, saying Vijaya Gadde, is that how you say your last name? The top censorship advocate at Twitter, who famously gaslit the world on Joe Rogan's podcast, true, and censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, is very upset about the Elon Musk takeover, and he includes in there a Politico story that says Twitter's top lawyer reassures staff and cries during meeting about Musk takeover. This is reporting from Politico, this is like, he's just showing the world what happened here and having some commentary about it.
I can't stand Vijaya Gadde. Haven't been able to stand her since 2018 when she appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience with Jack Dorsey. Spent 90% of the time gaslighting all of us and Tim Pool as well about the censorship policies over there. So I found it amusing. And I'm going to talk about this in my monologue. Was it mean? Yeah. Okay. I'll admit.
Okay, but
it was mean.
I won't even defend you. Put this back up on the screen. This is not even that mean. I mean,
I agree, but I'm just saying.
By the standards of Twitter, I actually think you're being a little too hard on yourself. Put that part back up on the screen because we've got another part we've got to get here. So you say she famously gaslit the world. True. Censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. True. Is very upset. Also true. Just completely factual, point by point, based on the reporting from Politico. So then something very unexpected happens.
I did not expect this.
Elon Musk himself replies and says, also in a pretty neutral tone here.
I agree.
Suspending the Twitter account of a major news organization for publishing a truthful story was obviously incredibly inappropriate. And I don't know who at this point really disagrees with that.
Who can disagree with that? I couldn't believe it. But guys, what ended up happening here is the most legitimately insane thing I have ever been a part of. So Elon replies to me, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. My phone literally just won't stop buzzing. People wrote up his comments, all of that. Then, in the next couple of hours, a narrative begins to develop that Elon and me are responsible for targeted harassment against this woman, Vijaya Gadde, because apparently some rando accounts said she should be fired and said some racist stuff against her. Obviously, I do not condone anything racist against Vijaya Gadde. You may not have noticed, but I'm Indian. Furthermore, I did some investigation. I called my mom. Now, according to my mom, Vijaya Gadde is not only are we both Indian, she is also a Telugu person, as in we are from the same region of India. Furthermore, I actually have a cousin with the last name who is similar to Vijaya Gadde, so we may even be related. So maybe
you're just a self-hating Indian.
That's right, I'm self-Indian. Really so not only are we both Indian, we are from the same region of India, and our family's from the same region of India, and I might actually be related to the lady. Okay, so let's put that out of the way.
Yeah. So then the news media decides this is an angle we can pursue because they don't necessarily love being like overtly in favor of no, we want the censorship. What if they have free speech? Oh my God! Because you know these places like to pretend that they're free speech outlets and in favor of such things. So now they're like, oh, we've got an angle.
Yeah, they've got their angle.
Now we've got targeted harassment of a female executive brought on by these powerful figures, et cetera, et cetera. So Washington Post decides to go forward with this story. Elon Musk boosts criticism of Twitter executives, prompting online attacks. And let me read to you the framing of this, which is so incredibly dystopian and gaslighty and dishonest. So they say, Elon Musk is using his powerful Twitter account to bolster right-wing users who sharply criticized two company executives, exposing them to the online masses who joined in the attacks, exposing them to the online masses. Again, these are powerful, very powerful individuals that we're talking about here. It started with a Tuesday tweet from political podcast hosts Saagar and Jetty.
He always tried to do that.
Twitter users quickly piled on to the criticism of Gadde, including calling on Musk to fire her and using racist language to describe her. Gadde was born in India and immigrated to the U.S. as a child. One user said she would, quote, go down in history as an appalling person. How could you say such a thing? I actually found it kind of revealing that that was the worst response that they could find here.
You should
this
see
is
some of the
so
things
mild.
Yeah, I know. People have said horrible things about me. Guess what? I don't care. You know, whatever. That's what comes with this business. And the people who criticize me, which prompted those, whatever. It's part of the game. I'm not going to be like, you're a racist for coming after me. So what really pissed me off, though, Krystal, was not just the framing of this, was inside of the article, they wrote, and they've since updated it, they said, Injeti did not immediately respond for a request to comment. And so I'm literally just spending my Wednesday morning, I came back from the gym, it's like 7:30 or whatever, I'm like scrolling, and I said, whoa, nobody's contacted me. I checked my Instagram, I checked my email, I checked my phone. Nothing. So then I called our producer, James. And here's what James tells me. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. This Washington Post lady emails James, not even me, at 2:06 a.m. And she says, here, hi there, we are quickly writing up his tweets tonight about Vijaya Gadde with the peg that Musk is piling on. Some questions. Here are questions. Listen to this. Does he have any concern that mentioning a specific Twitter executive could result in attacks on that exec? What are the responsibilities here? For example, one of the commenters made racist tweets against Gadde, and others said she should be fired. Number 2, what does he hope to accomplish by calling out Gadde and getting Elon involved? So there's a lot going on.
So much.
Number 1, everybody in this town has my phone number, including half of the people who work at her newspaper.
Yes.
It's not that hard to find. By the way, please don't call me randomly. But it's really not that difficult. I was a reporter. I know a lot of the people here. She could easily have gotten it, and many of her colleagues have contacted me and have spoken to me many times in the past. Number 2, emailing somebody for comment at 2:06 a.m. Eastern time is complete BS.
And what time did they go live with the story?
They went live with the story late, like 6 a.m. Eastern time.
Mere
By the way,
hours later.
I'm awake. You could call, I was literally awake. I got up at 5 that day in order to go work out. You could have called me. I would have given you a comment. I would have been happy to do so. I'm actually pretty accessible whenever people write about breaking points. So 7 hours after Elon Musk replied to me, they contact me for the story. Now let's get to the actual questions here. Vijaya Gadde was paid $17 million last year. She literally appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast and is the top policy executive at Twitter. She's a public figure. I'm allowed to criticize public figures. In fact, that's literally my job.
Yes.
And under the guise of the First Amendment, which I prize and which I think is very important for me to be able to do the work that I do, that is well within the bounds of both accepted and legal speech, but also I would think even within the respectability industrial complex.
Yes.
Going after somebody on a substantive issue is not out of bounds.
Who is very powerful.
Very powerful.
Her title is Twitter's, it's very dystopian title, Twitter's legal policy and trust leader.
That's
so
what I'm
she's
saying.
the head of the Ministry of Information.
Right. So my criticism of her on a policy matter that she has publicly spoken about, how am I responsible for what some random-ass Twitter account says to her? And same with Elon. He didn't say anything crazy about Vijaya Gadde.
No.
He replied to a tweet and criticized her on a policy matter that she was directly involved in. She's the person who censored the Elon Musk story. Now, number 2, in terms of her second question, she accuses me of bringing in Elon. I've never spoken to Elon Musk in my entire life. We've had no connection. He's never tweeted at me before. I've never spoken to him. I've never corresponded with him. I've never corresponded with anyone at Tesla. I think the closest connection that we would have is that we also know Joe Rogan.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So just so people are completely aware. Maybe he knows who I am.
Which is a large group of people, the people who know Joe Rogan.
Yeah, maybe he knows who I am. I literally have no idea. So I didn't bring Elon. What was I hoping to accomplish?
What did she hope to accomplish by calling out Gadde and getting Elon involved?
What does anyone hope to accomplish when I'm making a comment on a policy matter? But I think this is the perfect example. This is how they try to smear you. I make a substantive point. Some random people say something. Now, me and Elon are racists and are responsible for the harassment that this lady is experiencing. By the way, I decry the harassment, okay? And any racist harassment against her would be equally applicable to me. So obviously, that's not a thing. So all of this, as you said at the top, they are just covering up for the fact that they agree with censorship.
Right.
And 2, let me just take you a little bit behind the scenes because I found out a little bit more since all of this happened. Vijaya Gadde, I don't have a confirmation on this, but I'm just telling you, she has very, very close relationships with a lot of these reporters. In fact, the Washington Post reporter who wrote this story was going and liking a bunch of tweets about how Vijaya Gadde is like some saint, come back to earth, and how she's somebody who's been really helping people out. And it has been known to me via cutouts, I'm not going to reveal my sources, that Vijaya is very, very close with the entire tech press, which is why they are going after this. So was she involved in maybe creating this entire narrative? I'll let you take that supposition for yourself.
That's the thing that is so dishonest here. I mean, first of all, I think it really reveals what dishonest, hacky actors they are, that they would email James at 2 a.m. for comment. And then make it sound like, oh, you just couldn't be bothered to respond or didn't have any response. I mean, that just is a little window into how these people actually operate. And then, yeah, this isn't a straight, she wants to present this as just like a straight news report, but clearly this is advocacy.
Yeah, you're obviously friends with the lady.
It very clearly is advocacy here. And listen, the same standard could be applied, you know, turn it right back around. How could the Washington Post, you know, call you out and target you for harassment? And Saagar, are you okay?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's just, it reminds me a lot of actually what they did with Bernie Sanders and like the whole Bernie bro narrative and trying to blame Bernie for any like bad thing that some random supporter of his ultimately said. It was equally ridiculous, and it's why I was really disappointed when he actually sort of gave into that narrative at one point, because now you can see the way this gets weaponized all the time, and it always gets weaponized to protect really powerful people. I mean, this is someone who is so clearly a public figure, like not a question mark whatsoever, who is also extraordinarily wealthy and has all of the privileges and protections that comes with that class status as well, and whose influence really matters. So for, you know, a private citizen or a journalist or anyone else to have an opinion on that you expressed, I mean, yeah, it was like a little bit snarky, but it honestly was really, you know, totally within bounds of public discussion of issues that are very fraught and very important. To make that into some nefarious thing, it's like you're right to be completely indignant in the way that they handled all of this. And I think we should also say, like, they were not the only ones.
No.
Insider also wrote it up in a really sleazy and dishonest way. They called you a right-wing activist. Okay, I mean...
Guys, ask the real right-wing activists. I can't stand it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This is the funniest thing.
It's just, but you know, it's very clearly the language is chosen to make you sound like some nefarious actor who's trying to stir up shit, and you're in cahoots. You know, that's the sort of insinuation here from the watch. You're in cahoots with Elon to target this harassment at this vulnerable person. Give me a break. It's ridiculous.
No, it really pissed me off because, like you said, it spawned, actually, that Washington Post story then spawned Business Insider and a bunch of other outlets are referring to me either as a right-wing activist or conservative YouTuber. I'm like, guys, why does we have to apply any of these, like, adjectives? Why can't it just be host of Breaking Points, a popular political show? I mean, what's wrong with that? It's a right-left show. We have an incredibly diverse audience. Ask people who actually know me, who actually listen to me. None of them would use that moniker whenever they're trying to describe me. But beyond that, it's not even exactly how they refer to me. It's the tactics. And like, guys, this is what I want to show you. The inside, the 2 a.m. emails, the ridiculous questions, they rely on you not knowing how the sausage is made. And it comes back to the Taylor Lorenz point I made. Listen, lady, if you like Vijaya Gade, write an op-ed about it. Be like, Saagar and Jetty is a dishonest hack. I honestly wouldn't care. I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. I disagree with you. I would probably do something here about it. But to do this all within a news story is just so incredibly dishonest. It just shows you why we're trying to do the work that we are here, both in order to expose this, but to try and build something so different apart from this. So,
and it does really relate to Taylor Lorenz, because this is like the tactic that she uses all the time to shield herself from criticism, and the weaponizing of these of identity too to again shield powerful actors from scrutiny. I mean, Taylor, the thing that makes it so ridiculous with her is everyone wants to sort of like infantilize her. It's like, how could you do this to this young woman?
Right.
First of all, we don't know exactly how old she is.
She's lied about her age
but she's not that young at this point.
She's like nearly 40.
And second of all, this is a well-paid, prominent journalist at one of the top outlets in the entire country in a tremendous position of power. And I don't doubt that there has been ugliness directed her way, and I do not want that for her or anyone else whatsoever. But to make yourself you're the victim in this country, do you know anyone who has suffered anything real in your life? Look around at this nation and think about all of the pain and suffering that is going on, and you're gonna make it about yourself and you're the victim in the story. That's why these things are so disturbing, because ultimately, again, it is used to make sure you cannot critique the powerful. And so this is a perfect example of how they use these tactics really cynically to try to shut down what is a legitimate debate and discussion about the policies that should govern our public square.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on this is I'm lucky, okay? I got this show. I have you guys. I have the premium subscribers. Like, my livelihood is not gonna be affected by this. But let's say we still worked at the Hill. This is a problem, all right?
Correct.
This is a real problem for me.
That is a very good point.
If I still worked in a normal corporation or media company, this is a real issue in terms of the way that you're getting described and your colleagues and, hey, you know, why are you being unprofessional? All of this. I have the liberty in order to expose all of it and just say, here's what they said to me, here's the email, this is complete BS, I can fully express myself. So I just want to say another thank you to everybody who listens to the show, to all the people who support the show. I am only able to do what I am able to because I know that you're my boss and not anybody else. Because if we're still working in media, this is a real problem.
But let me say, I have no doubt that our audience is going to, you know, almost 100% support what, you know, the fact that you were clearly in the right, the Washington Post is ridiculous here. But this is not without a cost for us either, because we're very dependent, you know, in terms of the YouTube world.
Oh, yeah.
We're dependent on whether they deem us to be a trustworthy news source or not, and how the algorithm deals with our videos and how much they serve them and all of those things. So it's not without a cost and a price when the mainstream comes after you and tries to sideline you as some crank, some bully, some troll, etc.
Are we a conservative YouTube show? Ask yourself that. Are we a conservative YouTube show? That's BS, okay? And just the way, look, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but it has real costs to us. Not as much because we rely on our premium subs and on our audience, but, you know, this really could have been a big problem for all of us. So anyway, I want to thank you all once again just for having my back, and it gives me the confidence in order to speak out against these.
This was, I mean, this was not a borderline case. There was really no nuance here. You're very clearly well within the bounds of public debate and discussion, and the Washington Post has lost their minds in a very dishonest and nasty way. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.